Welcome to Unit 5, Part 2. The document that we will be working with in this video is the one called Investments, starting with Campbell Soup. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our January totals. And this is just a little review. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the auto sum, click on sum, check our cell references to make sure they only include the stock, which they do. We're going to hit enter, and then we're going to copy the formulas across using the fill handle. Then we're going to come up to our 3-month total, and we are going to use our auto sum again by clicking on sum. And notice this time it's including the price. We don't want the price in there, so I'm going to select January, hold down my left clicker, and I'm going to drag across through March, then check my cell reference E7 through G7. That's good. E7 through G7, hit enter, and I can copy that formula down using the fill handle. I'm going to put a underline by using the bottom border. So if I look now after 95.25, I have a bottom border. And then I'm going to come down here in cell G19. Remember, you can see what cell you're in by looking at the name box. And we're going to drag the formula across, this relative cell formula. And then now we have added up our column. You notice the sum here is E18 to G18. The sum here is H7 through H18. That's good. So another review, we're going to click on investments, and then once we click on it, I'll make this a little bit bigger. You can see that I can drag this across, and then I'm coming over to my merge and center, select that, and as we learned in the first video, we want to add the cell style called title. I'll shrink this down a little bit. And then in A5 going across, we're going to select A5 through H5. We're going to go up, and now we're going to select heading 2. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to adjust my column so that purchased is all on one line, that the D is not down below. If I go to my boundary line, left click and drag to my right to 1171, it should fit. I'm going to go click on the boundary line between C and D, and let's make that 1171. Well, we don't need to make it as big. There we go. Now, notice I have some extra spacing here. If I go to my boundary line between 5 and 6 and just drag up a bit, I can get rid of that. Oh, that's a little bit too much. So make sure everything fits. Then I need to make my adjustment in boundary line between D and E. And so now we're good. Now, what I would like you to introduce you to now is what we call absolute cell references. If you notice here, all of these cells are connected. They're right next to each other. Even as we go down, notice they're all relative. They all are right next to each other. There's no spaces separating them. If I go to C7 and try to figure out the percentage of stock invested, in other words, 80 shares were purchased here. Of the 80, there was 100 stocks available. What percentage is that of 80 or of 100? So we want to figure out using 80, we're going to divide that by 100. But you notice that we have a blank cell and we have text, and we have a text here. That's going to interfere with our formula. But I'm going to show you what will happen if we do that. We're going to do equal. We're going to click on shares, divide that by 100. We're going to hit enter. I'm going to come up here. I want to make this a percentage, so I'm going to come over here and click on percentage. Notice it goes 80. And now I'm going to use my fill handle and I'm going to drag down. And if you notice, we have a problem. The 80% is right. It is dividing B7 by B3. So let's see what's going on in C8. You notice in C8 it's dividing B8, which is B8 is correct, by B4 here. So you notice it's doing a relative cell reference. It's going right down and trying to create formulas, but we know we can't do that. So to fix this problem, we're going to go back to C7. I'm going to put my cursor in the formula bar in front of B3, and I'm going to hit F4. Now, if you don't have function keys on your computer, you can just type in a $ before the B and a $ before the 3. Then I'm going to hit enter. My formula doesn't change, but if I take my fill handle now and I drag down, you're going to see that it fixes the problem. So these all function now. And if you notice, if I click on B or C13, if I look at my formula, you notice that it is dividing by the number of stocks in B3. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some comparisons. We want to compare January, February, and March. To do that, we can add conditional formatting. So I am going to select E7, drag across to G7, and then down the column through G18. And then if I go up to my conditional formatting and I come down to my data bars, I can use either granite or solid fill. I am going to use solid. I'm going to select that. And you notice it's doing a comparison in the columns so that you can see even going across. It lets you know which dollar value is the highest. March is the highest here. If we look here, we can see that this is bigger. So it's going to point out the highest numbers in each cell and the lowest in the middle. The next thing we want to do is we're going to come over to I7 and we want to do another comparison. This time we're going to use spark lines. Spark lines are tiny little charts. So if I click on insert, my insert tab, and I come over to column, I'm going to select column, and then I'm going to select this little box, which allows me to select across. And I can move that if I need to get it out of the way. And I want to select E7 through G7. There we go. I'm going to hit enter and then OK. Notice I have a chart that compares the dollar values. Now I can also change the sparkline color and I can change the marker color so that my high point stands out. Then I can use my fill handle to drag down and you're going to see that it is comparing. The last thing we want to do is we want to insert a column chart. To do this, we need to select A7 through A18. Then I'm going to hold my control key down and I'm going to select E7 all the way down to G18. I'm going to let up. I'm going to go to my bar chart and you can choose any one you want. I'm going to select a 3D cluster chart. I'm going to move it over. And if you notice, it's comparing. Here is our legends. And then here is our value. So here we have comparisons between each of the lines. If I want to get my series in there, if I click on this and right click, I can go to Format Data Series. And then I want to be able to select. It's a little different. Box period. I want to select Series 1, and I guess it's not going to let me do this. Normally I can select the date and put it in, but Well, maybe I have the wrong thing. Select data. There we go. That's what I want. I'm going to exit out of that. Okay, cancel here. All right, so now when I click on Series 1, I can select, I'm going to go in and edit up here. And I'm going to select January and say OK. I'm going to select Series 2, edit, and then say OK for February. Then I'm going to select Series 3, edit, and select March, and then say OK. And then OK. And notice I have my data series in there. Then I'm going to go up and I can either go to my little pen and select a chart, or I can come up to my chart tools design and select a chart. It's up to you what you want, which way you want to do it. I'm going to go here. I'm going to select that one. All right, now we need to put in a chart title. As you know, everything needs a title. So we're going to call this 3-month comparison. There we go. And so now I have my legends, my data series, and I have my comparisons. That's it. Go ahead and finish. Oh, and then one last thing, we're going to come down to sheet 1, and we're going to rename that investments. And I'm going to add a tab color. And there we go. That's it. Thanks for watching and have fun.